I'm excited about this one because I've mentioned several times today how important differentiation is. And if you don't have differentiation, you're just putting out fluff. So how do you get to differentiation? Well, in my mind, it starts with positioning. So fortunately for you, we have positioning experts in the room, and Melinda, who works for Firebrick. So Kevin, you hired Firebrick. What was the challenge?
So the challenge we had, kind of an interesting opportunity. Our biggest competitor in our space, we're in the data management software space, got acquired by Salesforce earlier this year and kind of created an opportunity for us to rise up to be kind of one of the larger remaining independents in our space. And so we started getting a lot of extra attention and excitement from our many PE backers. And so the question they asked us was, how can we invest, which is a rare thing for a PE backer to ask, to go...
Wait, can you repeat that? The PE firm asked where you can invest.
Now, I think they were talking mostly on the product side.
Of course.
But we were able to kind of bring in, well, what a perfect time to develop some breakthrough messaging, because I think we were, so we're all about trusted data, and you need trusted data for your AI to work and all of that. But it's a space where everyone kind of sounds the same and says all the same things. So we were doing all the things, and everybody was kind of denying the existence of all the things that we were doing. And so we knew that we needed to be a little bit bolder and find a way to break through with a new message.
Okay, so needed a new story, basically. So Melinda, what was the methodology? How'd you do this?
Well, like Precisely, a lot, and we've seen a lot of this in your portfolio positioning, just a ton of products that are fueling their strategy. And well, Kevin did a great job of figuring out like what is a overarching theme that we can use. It's kind of, a veneer, and underneath a lot of product silos that he was dealing with, tons of product silos. And everybody loves their products. So not just, product silos, but acquisitions, right? Where everybody's passionate about their product. And so that creates just a lot of friction. There's friction in terms of who gets resources, marketing resources, development resources. So part of our methodology is just taking a step back and saying, okay, why is it that you matter now, precisely? Not 5 years ago when you were all these different products, but what is it, why should your customers care about you now? What is it that now that you're this company, what is it that you are bringing to the table? What is the combined power of what you bring? And what does that mean in terms of the promise for your customers in the future? So, why you now? What's the big, hairy, ugly problem that you can solve for your customers now? And how's that going to translate into more power in the future? So that is really the process that we took them through, is answering those questions. And one of the keys is to kind of set aside the product. Everybody loves their product, but set aside the product and really think about it in terms of capabilities. What are the capabilities that you're bringing outside of like the silos of your products, and look at it in a new and a fresh way? And for Precisely, it was so interesting because they had some really cool modern stuff, but they had some legacy things that really began to shape the differentiation that we eventually went out with.
So I just want to repeat this, and I want you to write this down, and I want you to see if you can answer this question for your company. Why do you matter now? Number one. And what is the big, hairy problem that you solve for your customers? Number two. And if you cannot articulate that in a differentiated way, you do not have a positioning. So, Kevin, where'd you end up?
So we ended up, I think, in an interesting place. We've been kind of historically a little bit more conservative with our positioning. And so I think we were able to kind of get a forward-leaning position for the first time that I think will serve us for the next 12 to 18 months or so. It's breaking us a little bit out of our comfort zone, but I think the brilliance of what Firebrick did for us, it's grounded in reality and in real value that we deliver for our customers. It's really enabling us to put the spotlight on the importance of having a well-defined data strategy and how to kind of use that to support your biggest business and IT initiatives that you have going forward. So we've landed in a pretty interesting place, I think.
And are you prepared to share it yet, or are we still, there's a launch coming? Or?
We are still in the testing and validation phase,
okay.
And so we'll be launching it early in the new year, but we're really, really excited about it. Had an opportunity earlier this week, was with 20 of our top customers at our customer advisory board. We previewed it with them and got some really good feedback. I think they're excited about the possibilities of what kind of a more forward-leaning position will mean for Precisely, and in particular, their ability to sell Precisely to their executive teams. And so one of the real decisions we made early on is, who's this for? And we went a level or so above the folks that we traditionally have relationships with. And I think when we explained that to the customer advisory board, they were excited because it's going to help them as they go through their process to sell it in.
There's a moment of courage involved there in going to your customer advisory board, because you're going, here's this thing, and they're not used to actually evaluating positionings. You might be able to show them a billboard and they say if they like it, but positioning is tricky to explain. So first, kudos to you to have that bravery. But I'm guessing that there was a step that happened earlier, which is executive buy-in, that you were comfortable to be able to do that. So talk a little bit about that real quick in terms of getting executive buy-in. And that's one of the biggest problems, right? Bringing everybody together around one single positioning.
Well, and this started really in my first conversation with the great Bob Wright, who's over there. Bob and I realized, this needs to be a CEO, executive team-driven thing. It cannot be seen as a marketing thing at all. So before we even made the final decision to go with Firebrick, Bob had to spend time with my CEO, and I wanted my CEO to feel like he was making that decision. And then they do a great job, probably the best discovery process I've ever seen from a consultant. They came into the workshop, a 2-day workshop that we did at our headquarters with the entire executive team, really speaking the language of our business and our space. And they lock us in a room, and the first day you go through and you talk about all the things that make you unique and different and all your problems. And you come in the second day, and they've got this amazing 85% of the way story up on the board. And I think it just created a lot of excitement. I actually think we had conversations as a leadership team that we probably ought to have been having all along, but weren't yet having. And it really allowed us to lock arms. And the goal was to leave that process with no space between us, because we have to go be collectively, not just me, our CEO and our entire leadership team, the champions of this across the business.
And there's two things that you said that really struck me. One is positioning is not a marketing thing, and it's really important, even though you are going to be the driver. The second thing is a lot of folks try to do this in-house. And the problem with that is there's too much politics and too much relationships, and the CMO is too stuck and can't argue with the CFO or the CEO in the way that you need. So the lesson for CMOs in the room in terms of bringing an outsider in and the power you've seen of that?
Absolutely. It's get your seat at the table. When you're herding the cats, you don't get to have a seat at the table. So let somebody else herd the cats and take your rightful place at the table.
I love that. So are there some lessons that other CMOs can, I've spotted a bunch of them so far, but you have the right positioning when?
You're selling the problem, not the product. At the end of the day, sell the problem.
The problem, not the product. Okay, that's it?
Well, I can keep going.
Please do.
Yeah, no, it's sell the problem, not own the problem, name the problem, talk about the problem. A lot of our clients say, we don't want to talk about the problem. Our customer, who wants to be negative? Our customers already know their problem. And so while some of that may be true, what's particularly true, especially for a lot of you want to sell to executives, but you're still going through your champion recognizes the problem, but they don't have the words for it. They don't know how to package it and articulate it and sell up the chain, which is what you need them to do for you. So sell the problem, articulate the problem, own the problem, name the problem. And what that's going to do is that's going to give your champion the ability to sell a strategic problem to their executives and ultimately unhook those budget dollars that you need to sell what you want to sell into the company.
I love it. Since we can't share Kevin's example could you share an example of an existing client who, and state the problem that they solved as a result of your positioning exercise? We didn't prepare for this, so.
Yeah, gotta think of one. Bob, help me out here.
A bunch of them.
Yeah.
Just one, Bob. We have 45 seconds.
The risk trajectory crisis, the AI readiness gap, the modernization gap.
Okay. So these are big problems that these companies are solving.
That's right. And they're strategic problems. They're not tactical problems. They're strategic problems that the CEO cares about.
Kevin, one last thought from you, which is as a CMO going through this process, what advice do you have for this group?
I think it's just if you haven't done this in a while and gone outside your organization to do it, it's probably a really good time to consider it. I think there's been we've talked all about it all week, the pace of change that's going on around us. And I do think getting that outside perspective, Drew mentioned, we had tried not too long ago to do this ourselves, and we were just not landing in a productive place. So I think, not only did Firebrick come in and do a great job for us, but they've also reset the expectation with the leadership team. Like, we got to be doing this every 12 to 18 months or so. You got to give it enough time to stick, but this is a living, breathing thing that you need to nurture and care for as well.
I love it. All right, well, thank you, Kevin Ruane and Melinda Wilken.
Thank you for that.
Give it up for them. Amazing. Wow. We can cover a lot of ground in 10 minutes. All right, let's.